After an intensive week of grand final build-up, the day itself couldn't have arrived fast enough for Richmond, who faced minor premiers the Adelaide Crows in the decider. Grand final nerves were apparent for the Tigers as the Crows kicked 2 early goals and Richmond spearhead Jack Riewoldt kicked 3 consecutive behinds in less than 4 minutes.
He's got his first. So Lambert to Houli and then Curvis gives it to Floston, and then Floston kicking wide, good looking, kicking away, gave the chance to Castagna, goes back inside, Butler can finish, no he does the team thing. Gee, what a turnover in the middle of the ground, and then Caddy goes on.
Eventually Josh Caddy kicked the Tigers' first goal, and when Bachar Houli added another soon after, they led for the first time.
He wheeled his way through it, little kick forward, Houli to kick a goal. He does. Big that was.
But late goals to Adelaide put the Crows up by 11 points at the first break. Don Pyke's men couldn't convert early in the second term, which opened the door for the Tigers.
To Edwards, Edwards with a good kick to Riewoldt. They played that so well, Richmond. He's had 3 shots on goal today, 2 from set shots. Now he goes around. Has it got the length? I think it's a goal. Adelaide weren't marking the line. It's going to be reviewed. Riewoldt gets the goal.
With their tackling and chasing becoming a feature, they piled on 4 unanswered goals. Jacob Townsend put Richmond within 2 points before Jack Graham and Dustin Martin goaled in quick succession to send the Tigers into half-time with a 9-point lead.
Graham just goes bang! Look at this, the Tigers are in front.
When it's scrappy, when it's congested, Richmond have still been able to find a way to kick those crucial goals.
They hit the front, and think about it, Lingy. Townsend and Graham, the 2 guys that have only played the last 5. He's got it. The champ's got it. The one-on-one that they want to create, and they got it with a quick takeaway. He's had a very good first half. This will top it off. He's got it. They've kicked away.
Richmond increased the margin as its forward line ran its opponents off their feet.
Talia did nicely without giving away the free there. Little handball by McKay. Kelly's handball is picked up by Prestia. Got it back inside here. Lambert sponged it out. Edwards with a bit of space and time. Finds Grigg. 6 Richmond goals in a row if successful. Grigg to the famous punt road end. Riding it with him. He's got it. Look at him jump out of their seats in the background. The Tigers have kicked 6 in a row.
The Crows were held goalless for a quarter and a half, with Alex Rance, David Asprey, Dylan Grimes, Nick Flostone and Bachar Houli simply outstanding. Taylor Walker finally broke Adelaide's goal drought midway through the premiership quarter, but the Tigers swiftly killed off any hopes of a Crows comeback.
Thought about putting it on the boot, gave it off to Castagna. Right foot snap, got it. Goodness gracious me, the Tigers have got another. Gee, look at Punt Road. It's gone berserk.
Completely reactive to the contest.
Riewoldt.
Holding the ball, advantage, took it out of the ruck.
So Matt Crouch with a high ball, doesn't get much advantage, doesn't get a far, and Lambert has been outstanding again today.
He has. He really has indeed, Bruce. And that was a courageous mark. 60 metres out from the Tiger City end goal. Hops to the square. Here comes Riewoldt. He's marked the ball well today. Jack Riewoldt will go back to give the Tigers a 40-point lead. Kick 1 in the second. Riewoldt from 25 stands and delivers. The Tigers kick the first of the last to lead by 40.
They rattled off the next 4 goals to take an unassailable 45-point lead early in the last quarter. And even the most pessimistic Richmond fans dared to believe.
Lambert got it from Riewoldt. Rioli's behind him. Lambert with a bounce. Lambert with a second bounce. Lambert goes across. Didn't really have to. Do you know what? It's Tiger time. That's what it is. Prestia seals it.
Because you control blanket over a number of players for Richmond. This has been a real team effort.
He's on the biggest stage, the MCG, about to be a Richmond premiership premiership player.
35 out. Townsend eases it through.
The Tigers extended their lead in the last, and fans' tears were beginning to well. Adelaide kicked 3 consolation goals, but nothing could take the gloss off Richmond's fairy tale, which Tigers fans had been dreaming about.
Right foot banana, it's there. It's there from the boundary line. Look at the Tigers come from the rear. Look at the coach's box. Look at the fans. And look at Punt Road.
After 37 long years, Richmond had finally bared its teeth on Grand Final day again. Its relentless pressure that had become its trademark this September sealed an inspired 48-point premiership triumph.
Today's performance echoes what we've been about all year, and that's 22 contributors. I mean, Dusty's pretty special, but the guys have been outstanding.
Newly crowned Brownlow medalist Dustin Martin capped off a stellar season, winning the Norm Smith medal.
First of all, just thank the Crows boys for a good game. Thanks to the fans for coming out. Yellow and black! I've never seen a side like you. You're unique. I love watching you play. You're an incredible team that is now a premiership team.
What a game, what a result, what a day, what a moment. Coming to you very shortly, Alex. Richo, how were you feeling during this game? There were a number of cutaways, and it's fair to say, I think you were very nervous.
I haven't seen any of this footage.
You're about to.
Yeah, thanks for that, Spotter. I didn't say much during this game. Look at, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
Look at Timmy Watson just sitting there calmly.
Poor old Watto had to put up with me all day, carrying on.
What are you doing, Richo?
I don't know, Spotter. I don't know what I'm doing.
He's helping the cause. That's what he's doing. He's swaying the ball with his juju.
That is so good.
Mate, I don't know that I'm doing it, obviously.
Oh, that is classic.
That is embarrassing.
That is classic.
Francie, don't watch this.
I've got a question.
Mate, I didn't know I was that bad. That is that's not good.
That is gold, and there's 75,000 Richmond fans that are going to buy a copy of this DV, and that's going to be the highlight moment.
No wonder I felt sore the next day. No wonder. I did more work than you did, Rancy.
Yeah, your shoulder rotator cuff work that you were doing underneath.
Understandably, Rich, you didn't play on the day, but you've been a legend for this football club for a long time. I would imagine that when you were notified that if Richmond do win and you had the pleasure and privilege of presenting the Premiership Cup, that would have been a special moment.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Brendan Gale called me into his office there at the club and told me that the club had nominated me if Richmond were to win the game. I couldn't believe it. What an honour, very humbling, and so many other guys that should have done it before me, I think, but I'm indebted to the club and Peggy and the board and Brendan for nominating me. What an experience, and doesn't feel real still, but yeah, I was stoked.
Yeah, no,
I think it's only fair, really, when you think about it, that Richo was probably that shining light that kept the members buying memberships through that really dark time that, he nearly won a Brownlow, probably should have, I reckon. Knew he stole the votes off you at the end of that. But was he playing with him as that ultimate team man who just ultimately wanted everyone else to succeed around? I think it was only fair that he was up there with us.
Yeah, no, I think it's really well said, Alex, and well deserved, Richo, too. It was a great moment for you and the football club. Dominant defensive performance by the group. I mean, the back line was outstanding, but I'm keen. Adelaide, as I said before, Alex, a lot of smart people thought that Adelaide would win, and not only win, but win comfortably. Adelaide's great strength is their ability to play frenetic football. Could you have played a better defensive game to take away that asset from the Adelaide Crows almost from the opening bounce?
Probably not. Oh, I think the way that a holistic defensive effort, it was something that I probably haven't been a part of this year or throughout my whole career, where we've really clamped down on those short 45 kicks which you speak about, which just make it so much more predictable down the line. And then you add the atmosphere of a grand final where people are probably just not going to take that kick because it's a bit too risky. I don't want to stuff it up. So all those things compounded together really played into our favour.
Hey, Rancy, one we haven't talked about in this so far today is Nick Floston. I thought his last 2 months were absolutely outstanding in that back line. He had the injury early in the year, but when he really got going, it just really helped you guys gel, I thought.
He's a super talented player who I think Dimmer would love a few of him because he can play in the midfield, he can play forward, but I think his very best football is played down back. Because he protects me. And when I play with him, I have a very strong sense of connection that we see the game very similar. So I know when he's going to fly, he knows when I'm going to fly, but his ability to also use the ball really well, reminiscent of a Corey Enright, I feel, that he could be one of the very elite halfbacks, mid-size halfbacks of the competition.
There was one Richmond teenager on the ground. He finished with 3 goals.
What a player.
He's played 5 games and he's a premiership player, and his name right now is Jack Graham. What a game.
Yeah, well,
what a game.
You talk about it, Rancy, because, gee, he is composed, isn't he?
He is. And because we didn't see him throughout the whole year, I think Tigers fans will go, wow, that was one out of the box. But he won the Lark medal. He was the best under-18s player in that competition, but slipped down the draft, and we were lucky enough to snag him. And it was no surprise to us as a group that he played that sort of game in a big game, because he's just a calm, simple sort of lad who just plays football, and he's a footy player. He's not a super athlete, he's a footy player.
Quite surreal reading some of his commentary after the game. He was sent to Rory Sloane, who was off the leash, finished with 3 goals, and he felt somewhat guilty tagging his favourite player out of the game. But you'd take that every week. The pressure. We've spoken about the pressure through the entire year. The frenetic pressure from the opening bounce to the final siren, Richo, was outstanding.
And it just became the theme for the year, didn't it? The elite pressure that they put on all over the ground. But I guess it really resonated in the forward line with the small forwards and Rioli, Butler and Castagna, but it wasn't just them. There's Rewalt running down. But through the finals, I just thought that you guys took it to another notch in all 3 finals, and to be honest, the opposition couldn't handle it.
And it was a good feeling to know that it was no surprise to us. I think if after the game we had, wow, geez, we played the games of our lives, but the CV that we built throughout the whole season to say, no, we did do that in that game, and we did prove ourselves in this game where we could have gone the other way, was really satisfying for us, that on the biggest stage we did what we set out to do and the plan was good.
Richo, when you look at the book of work in the final series from the Tigers this year, not only did they keep very good teams, high-scoring teams, to low scores, but their ability to have the confidence to attack was outstanding.
Yeah, well, all 3 games were almost a bit of a mirror image. You know, at half-time, all 3 games were close, but the pressure intensified in the premiership quarter, as it's called, the 3rd quarter, and they just gradually broke teams open. And then the last quarter, the scoreboard opened up for them, and they were really able to, score goals on the back of it. But yeah, it all came from just chipping away, the pressure, build, and eventually the opposition broke. And it was one of the great final series that I've seen in my time following football, and I'm just happy it was the Tigers.
Before the Norm Smith winner was announced, who did you think was a potential candidate?
I was thinking that it was either Shane Edwards or Bachar Houli, but I think it's fitting that Dusty takes another bit of silverware for the year. But I thought Bachar played a super game. Some really crucial intercept marks, impacting kicks, that goal that he kicked as well, I thought he played probably the game of his career.
Yeah, I would agree with that. As just a passive observer, I thought his game was outstanding. But as you said, Dustin Martin has just had a barnstorming year, and not surprisingly, to go with his Brownlow medal, he's AFL MVP. He's done it all, premiership player, but he's got a Norm Smith medal around his neck too now, Richo.
Yeah, and as you said, there were a number of players. I thought Alex should have been in front of the voting at half-time, but when you have a look at Dustin's year and his grand final, it's one of the great years we've seen, as we talked about before, and he did have 22 contested positions.